Hey guys, welcome back! We're already on the 4th episode of Illustrated Myths. This week I'll be jumping back into Greek mythology to tell you all about Medusa, or at least one version of the many myths surrounding her. But first I want to tell those of you who missed the last episode about the project that I'm working on. I'll be taking all of the paintings I've made so far depicting witches and goddesses and making an oracle deck with them. The deck will be tarot card sized, so they'll be large but still easy enough to shuffle and use, and they'll all feature beautiful metallic gold ink. If you'd like to find out more or are curious about what the heck an oracle deck even is, you can follow the link I've put in the show description below to read all about it. Okay, so back to Medusa. Medusa is the daughter of Perseus, along with her 3 immortal sisters. Like I said, there are many versions about the myth of her, and the one that I'm telling is particularly sad. It mostly comes from Metamorphosis, which is a poem by the Roman poet Ovid. And I've chosen to tell it because it's the most comprehensive. After I recount the tale, I'll also tell some other slightly happier versions, so I can leave you on a bit of a high note. I should say, this myth also comes with a pretty important trigger warning for domestic violence. To say that Medusa was beautiful was a complete understatement. In fact, the ancient poets devoted lines and lines just to her beautiful hair, which hung in ringlets framing her face. She had a veritable crowd of suitors around her at any given time, but Medusa didn't seem to care. Maybe she believed she was destined for greater things, for the history books. Whatever the case, she tossed aside all thought of marrying a hero and maybe even becoming queen, to instead join Athena's temple as a priestess. As part of the gig, the beautiful Medusa swore to stay a virgin as long as she lived. Her oath wouldn't last long, though, through no fault of her own. On a visit to Athena's temple, Poseidon, the god of the oceans, caught sight of Medusa, and according to the poets, was absolutely overcome with lust. If you've read any Greek myths, you probably know that the gods weren't particularly known for their understanding of consent. In fact, it was pretty much standard as a Greek god to take whatever you wanted and ask for forgiveness, or not, later. And this is exactly what Poseidon does. In the middle of Athena's sacred hall, Poseidon rapes Medusa. In doing so, he destroys not only her maidenhood, but her ability to represent Athena as a priestess. After his cruel deed, Poseidon quickly turns tail and runs, leaving no one but Medusa to bear the brunt of Athena's wrath. The goddess, it turns out, is furious that her temple had been defiled. Ovid writes a few beautiful, if tragic, verses about what Athena does next. On the ravished virgin vengeance takes. Her shining hair is changed to hissing snakes. These in her aegis palace joys to bear. The hissing snakes, her foes, more sure ensnare than they did lovers once, when shining hair. Along with her new snaky tresses, Medusa also had the ability to change men into stone with a single glance. It's possible to interpret Athena's punishment as protection in disguise. Maybe she felt that by giving Medusa her monstrous new powers, the young girl wouldn't have to worry about being defiled in such a way ever again. If that's true, though, Athena has a major change of heart when Perseus, the new big deal Greek hero, shows up. Perseus hadn't had a great life either, thanks to the Greek pantheon. His father had locked up his beautiful mother, Danae, away after hearing a prophecy that her son would grow up to kill him. But that didn't stop the king of the gods, Zeus, from easily getting around the whole locked away thing and impregnating her by peeing on her from above her cage. Ugh. Technically, in the myth, it's referred to as a golden shower, but yeah. So she has Perseus, and her husband can't kill the kid since he's Zeus's son. Instead, he throws them both out to sea in a box. Luckily for both of them, the pair are saved by a fisherman in a far-off land, who is kind enough to take them in and raise Perseus as his own. I'd like to say that Perseus then lives happily ever after, but no. Danae hasn't grown old enough to stop being drop-dead gorgeous, which means men in this Greek myth won't stop being total creeps. In this case, it's the ruler of the land Perseus and his mom washed up on, King Polydectes. Polydectes hatches a plan to send Perseus on a quest so he can get the protective sun out of the picture. He challenges the young hero to, you guessed it, kill Medusa and bring back her head. Here's the part that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Everybody seems totally fine with killing Medusa, despite the fact that she did absolutely nothing wrong, other than apparently being too beautiful for a god to handle. This leads me to believe that, at least in this version of the myth, Athena was just too ashamed of Medusa's very existence, and wanted her gone. The goddess gifts Perseus with a polished shield, through which he can see Medusa safely, and after the hero receives a sword from Zeus and winged sandals from Hermes, the whole pantheon sends him on his way with their blessing. According to Ovid, there's not even much of a fight when Perseus arrives at Medusa's cave, unlike what you're probably used to seeing in the movies. Instead, he finds Medusa fast asleep and lops off her head without so much as a fair warning. What happens next was probably shocking to everyone, even given that it's a Greek myth. From Medusa's freshly cut neck, the winged horse Pegasus came bounding out, ready to greet the world, and, I imagine, pretty bloody. I take solace in knowing that even after her death, Medusa's head continued to be dangerous and a powerful force, turning men into stone as it traveled the ancient world. In fact, the ancient Greeks would wear her visage as a talisman around their necks to ward off any evil that might try to attack. And it's important to remember that, again, this is not the only version of the myth, just the most complete that I've found. In some of the earliest accounts, Medusa and her sisters are actually just born monsters. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the retelling of the myth. And if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a great week.